Greetings loyal minions, here's the video that everyone's been asking for, size top 10 heroes of all time. That's right, I've gone through the 34,672 heroes in the game and I'm going to show the top 10 heroes that I've enjoyed using over the many years I've been playing. So strap yourself in, get some munchies, get something nice to drink, it's going to be a while. My cat's excited as you can hear. And let's get to it, off like jocks in a brothel. Welcome back to the SciShow, the #1 ranked YouTube channel for people who forget their intros. If that's you, I appreciate you. Kicking us off at number 10 is Dawn, the Hunter Minstrel. We can see here looking pretty chilled, laying back on a weird little dragon turtle skull thingy, playing along on the flute. Got the owl there just doing whatever she wants. I don't know what that flute's been up to at band camp, but moving on from that. Fantastic skill. I'm not going to go over the hero in full detail here, just going to quickly discuss the skill, why I enjoyed using it, and then show a quick example of what the skill can do. So we have a Plains Hunter family. Basically we're looking at the main part of the skill is the summoning of a minion for the caster and nearby allies. That minion, when it hits, it actually removes mana from the target. A huge part of the game is mana control, whether it's getting your own mana, controlling the opposition's mana. It can just have a huge impact on the game. We can see here that each hit from a minion reduces the mana by 6%. It also adds, for the caster and nearby allies, 54 defense against special skills, which is pretty good, and cleanses the caster and nearby allies. Now, it's not a priority cleanse, but that can still come in very handy. So it's just fantastic watching those little minions hit the opposition that's got full mana and basically rendering them useless. I could also have put Lady of the Lake in here. Lady of the Lake obviously has very similar minions. However, I didn't get Lady of the Lake for quite a long time, and being a slow hero, it wasn't something I used. So I've chosen to put Dawn in as a 3-star. There's been examples of when this 3-star in Rush War. I believe there was a high level alliance who actually went full Dawn tanks in their war, just to run the enemy out of sort of counters. So yeah, it can definitely still be used. Obviously getting harder and harder to use these low level heroes against 5-stars, but can still prove useful. Rush War is a great example where you can get her fight off in a couple of matches and kind of control the enemy's mana from there. Still obviously very risky, but very valid. So let's take a look at how that works. So as you can see here, especially if you've got dual Dawns, or once you get a few of these minions up, it gets very, very difficult. Just letting you hear the special, it gets very, very difficult for the enemy to ever get the mana up to actually get their special skills off, which we'll see here. Although it did miss their tank, but so as we can see, we just keep stealing their mana and means they can't fire off their special, so it gives you really, really good control of the board and control of the match. That concludes the number 10 spot with Dawn, the Hunter Minstrel. I will just take this moment to mention there are a few honourable mentions that I haven't put on my list. There's also a few on the list where I've sort of grouped a couple of heroes because they're very similar. So yeah, my honourable mentions, before the haters just jump on me for missing out some of these heroes, honourable mentions go to Sludgus or Sludgus, obviously reasonably new, so I haven't used that a heap. Kalo, Mr. Pengy, Grimble, Xenolfod, Fungustine, Alfreak, or Alfrike as I like to say, and Lepiota. They all have quite useful skills. Some of them have been left out purely because I never had the hero when it was relevant. Some have been left off because they were much better on defense as opposed to offense, so therefore they weren't something I used regularly or got to see in action. So they're my honourable mentions. If you prefer some of those heroes to mine, well, I've got 2 words for you. But seriously, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to hear other people's favourite heroes and why. It's obviously one of the main parts of the game is having the different heroes with different skills, so it's fantastic to understand why people like certain heroes. Coming in at number 9, we have a very, very controversial choice. This is going to get me some hate within my own alliance, but we have Alan, or as you may know him, Steropes. Whilst he may not seem like a great hero at first, depending on who you speak to, our alliance have an ongoing joke regarding Alan, calling him Alan due to his striking, uncanny resemblance to Alan from the Hangover movies. This guy divides opinion in our alliance. Some people love him, some people hate him, but as an ongoing joke, he is used to welcome new members to the alliance by people using him in silly teams to take down teams far better than he should be taken down. He does actually have quite a unique skill with the guaranteed revive, so he's a member of the Styx family, so we have different skills based on how many charges you get. And that does give a bit of flexibility. On the first skill, we are boosting a bit of health. On the second skill, we are reviving an ally that gets defeated for the next 3 turns. And on the third charge, we're actually getting both. So we're regenerating a bit more health over 4 turns, and we have 4 turns of if you get defeated, you revive with 40% health. So fantastic hero in a sense that you are guaranteed a revive. The downside is you need to time that well. So you need to have this cast and active when your allies die. So that isn't the easiest thing to do, but can be quite useful. I would generally use this guy with another healer. So you're getting the heals to keep your team alive, and then you have good old Alan to sit there and charge up whilst your other healer is doing the work. And then once he's fully charged, you can wait until your heroes are a little bit vulnerable, use his special, and hopefully if they die they get revived, and then you can kick some butt again. So slightly different selection here, but I think this is what the game's all about. It's that community you have with your alliance, it's the banter, it's the fun, it's the silly heroes and silly jokes that keep us coming back. So definitely why this guy makes a list, and let's have a look at how he works in the real world. And of course our alliance mate Mr. Chief has Alan in his defense team, so perfect example to see there his skill, and we'll just see how it revives in a second. And we can see there the revive comes back with a little bit of health and he's good to go again. Fantastic. Alan, we salute you. That one's for you, math teacher. Number 8, we have Hawthorne, the Hunter Journeyman. Got a fair bit going on here. He's standing on his big anvil, he's got his boot, he's got the pipe, he's got the feathers around the top, he's got the ears going on, the weird outfit. Not sure what he's been out hunting. Those boots don't look like they've seen a day outside, to be honest. So anyway, I'm an absolute hoe bag for mana. So this guy gives free mana. I love mana. It's the way to control the battle, whether it's for your team or restricting the other team. So this guy's skill not only gives you mana, but also had the reflect status ailments. So that was a fantastic skill at the time. I think he came out around about the time that our freak had everything on lockdown, especially during rush wars. So this guy could reflect back the mindless attack to our freak, giving your team time to charge and take care of business. So let's have a quick look. He is part of the Plains Hunter family, and we can see the skill there regenerates boosted health, get a moderate amount of mana over 4 turns, and we reflect status ailments and negative stacks for 4 turns. So I will also mention here Kitty and Goldie, who I believe both came out after Hawthorne but had a similar skill, which was actually improved by the fact that it reflected the status ailments back to random members on the other team. So with Hawthorne you could only reflect it back to the caster, but with those other two it went back to the random people on the team. So they can be included here as well. It's that reflect skill, but on top of that it's this guy with the mana. Anytime I see free mana, I just love it. It gives you a chance to get your other heroes charged up without actually needing to match the tiles, and just can save you in an absolute pinch. Let's take a look now. With the ailment reflect skill up, we will set off Santa Claus and see that it will reflect straight back onto him with the attack and defense down. We can also see here, just pretend that Fungustine doesn't have any green tiles on the board there, and we need that heal to really get where we need to be. We'll see here that it just adds a little bit of mana. And one more turn should get us done. And there we go, without popping any green tiles, Fungustine is charged up, ready to heal off, and we can go ahead and win the battle. Hawthorne, you are our saviour, making slow heroes faster again. Lucky number 7. Fitting in with the luck theme, we are going with Armand Moncharmin. Looks like an Irish leprechaun, so seems a bit lucky to me. He's the sceptical patron of arts. He's looking rather dapper here with his nice top hat. He's got a bit of bling happening there. Just, looks like he's got so much swag. This is a bit of a generalized pick regarding Mega Minions, as I do have a few heroes at the moment with Mega Minions, which I'm really enjoying. So mainly Shimmer Scale and Frank Fangs Brimwell, who I also think looks extremely cool. The Mega Minions, obviously there's others with Vanya, Violet Potts, even the 4-star Greg, and the Mega Minions are just cool in my opinion, and this guy has the coolest looking one in the game. So let's go and take a look. I am also going to show a quick video of how effective the Mega Minions are for farming and also in event stages and things like that, if you're not trying to get the speed records and go for those really top levels. But they can make farming a breeze. So we'll just quickly check out Armand first. He's obviously part of the Opera family. He's dealing 300 damage to all enemies, summons the Bodyguard Mega Minion with 50% HP and 250% attack, and has the added bonus of if the target is hit by the Mega Minion, it falls asleep and receives 60% increased damage while sleeping. Let's go check this guy out and see the coolest Mega Minion in the game. Coming with Mega Minions, Violet Potts is not fully leveled, but it takes around 17 seconds for Stage 1-2 Season 2. Now let's check out Armand Moncharmin. Armand Moncharmin. Not only awesome, not only a cool minion, but a super cool name. Tipping his hat at number 6, we have the Hatter, Tea Connoisseur of Wonderland. So another top hat theme going on here. I'm not sure, maybe I have some sort of secret fetish that I wasn't aware of. I remember when the Hatter first came out, back then I hadn't really chased too many heroes or gone into too many event heroes and that type of thing. I didn't chase him, but yeah, really wanted to get him. The skill looked really, really useful, basically stealing the buffs from the other teams. That made it really enjoyable. If there was heroes out there that had buffs that you didn't have, then it was great to be able to take them and actually make them work for your own team. So we'll have a quick look at the stats. This is the costume version, part of the Wonderland family. One of the first families that I think I either had 4 or 5 heroes from, so I tried to use them all in my defense at the time just to get that bonus mana generation and critical chance. He obviously has the extra passive of mindless attack now that he's got the costume, and we're dealing 400 damage to the target and minor damage to nearby, steals all dispellable buffs from all enemies and randomly distributes them on allies. And so now obviously with the costume also summons a playing card minion with 25 HP and 40% attack. Fantastic for stealing those buffs, as I said, especially from heroes you didn't have. Things like counterattack and that sort of stuff, when they were on, especially if they were only on 3 heroes, you could actually target a hero that didn't have it and you'd still then be able to steal it, randomly put it on your own team. It's a little bit outdated now, still quite useful. I still do use him occasionally, but a little bit outdated with a lot of those non-dispellable buffs that you aren't able to take anyway. So one of my main ways of using this guy was to pair him up with Phileas Fogg on the Ludwig tank. So I never had Ludwig myself. Even when he was in the Soul Exchange, I think I took costume Finley at the time because Finley was maxed, and I underestimated how good Ludwig would end up being even outside of Rush War. I've never been a huge fan of the slower heroes. Yeah, what I would do is I would wait until Ludwig fired, he would have the taunt and he would give the huge mana boost to the 2 nearby. I would use Phileas to dispel the taunt and then use the Hatter to steal those mana buffs, put them on my own team, and generally it was game over. So let's see exactly how that looks. So as we can see, perfect opportunity. Ludwig has just fired and we have the big mana boost on the heroes beside. So we can now dispel with Phileas and then steal those buffs with the Hatter. Even a cool special move with the hat showing up in there, so gotta love that. And we can now see that Ariel has the 17% mana buff there for this turn, and that will just continue to grow for the next 6 turns. So fantastic. Was a great game changer to steal those skills that could really turn the battle. Hats off to the Hatter. Down to the top 5. I'd like to have a quick little intermission just to thank you all for the support. Thank you for the likes, the comments, the subscribers. It really does mean a lot to me. It takes a lot to start up a YouTube channel, and within a little over a month, I'm close to 300 subscribers. So it's going along great guns. We are building a great little community, and I really do appreciate the support. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And most importantly, thank you. Starting off the top 5, we have probably an unexpected hero. So this may be a surprise for a lot of people, especially newer players who may not even realize this hero exists. I feel I was in the minority using this hero. Even at the time, I don't think a lot of people realized the potential and how it could work. But I just won so many battles because of this hero. It just has to have a spot, and I just loved her. So we have Margaret, the treasure hunter. She's looking a little bit old and weary, and that's from blazing the trail for people to come after her like Lara Croft, etc, etc. We can see here she's just the OG of treasure hunters. Got the ciphery type, whatever the hell that thing is she's holding. Got the sword, she's got all the tools ready to go. Even got a cape, she's a bit of a superhero. Perhaps my opinion is slightly elevated, as I may just have a thing for redheads. But once you see her in action, I think you'll agree she deserves to be on the list. We'll check out the skill. We have Rogue class, which is always good, gives her that dodge. Now, when she was first released, I think she was very, very underpowered and received a little buff. It was just a little bit of a buff to the attack, which made her even more viable. Unfortunately, she hasn't been updated since. I would love to see her come out with a costume or something to make her relevant. We have the passive here, which means she's got resistance against the spell of buffs, which is great because her special skill, the main part is that the caster and nearby allies have from a 30% to 90% chance to dodge special skills that deal damage. The higher the damage from the special skill is, the higher the chance there is to dodge it. Each dodge gives 24% mana to the target. The effect lasts for 3 turns. So running at very fast speed, I continually took Margaret against teams of snipers. Now we're going back a few years where a lot of snipers like June, Satana, Kingston, those type of heroes were very relevant in the game and used quite often. So I would take Margaret against a team that generally had 4 snipers, and basically once you get that special up, it does only apply to 3. So I would generally put a healer next to her and then another damage dealer. And even if I got down to those 3 heroes, I could quite often win with just the 3. I love free mana. The higher the hit, you've got up to a 90% chance to dodge. It's just absolutely huge. So you're not only making the enemy waste their hit, but you're also gaining mana from it. So it can be crucial to get your heroes charged. Running it very fast, she could be up and running again quite quickly. So yeah, I just won so many battles with Margaret, and I want to show you how she works. It is actually quite hard to find a team for Margaret to excel against, as we don't see a lot of snipers these days, but I'm going to try it against a few teams and see if I can find a good example of how she helped me win so many battles. So up and running now, I'm just going to pop her off. Okay, so we've got that dodge up. I'm just going to try to get their hitters charged just to see what effect it can have. We can see there, even against Francine with a pretty small hit, we got the dodge and we back up to almost a 3rd mana straight up. So I know she's running it very fast. That mana dodge was huge for her, not quite as big on an average or slower speed, but it just helps you get your heroes charged very, very quickly. So you can already see the value she adds of getting those dodges, keeping your heroes alive, wasting the enemy's special skills, and charging yourself up, especially when it's a healer, because you can then get a heal and keep surviving longer. Margaret. She's kind of like your schoolmate's mother. You don't realise she's any different than your mother until you see her naked, and then you realise she's a lot different than your mother, and you just want to keep seeing her as often as you can. And you just know she has so much to teach you. Getting close to the top now, so make sure you stay tuned for the top 3, and especially my number 1 favourite hero, which I think is a hero you may not have seen very often before, so definitely keep an eye out for that. It's great to see heroes that you don't often get to see. Coming in at number 4, we have Mina, the pedantic gargoyle. I've mentioned many times my love for mana and how mana can help control the board and a battle, and Mina is fantastic for that. She's looking quite cool here. Well, I'm going to say she, I'm not really sure. It's a gargoyle, so we're not really sure what's hiding underneath that fur. Has a bow and arrow. I'm a sucker for a bow and arrow. They're just cool. I think I might go and buy one. If I do, I'll video myself probably shooting myself in the foot, so keep an eye out for that. We'll have a look at her skill. As we know, she's part of the gargoyle family, which is great. You can add a few of those together and you're immune to poisons and stuff. She has a great passive of this soft skin, which means she has great survivability. And the main part of the talent, obviously she's running it fast, she's doing a decent hit to the target and minor to nearby, but at the end of the turn, for 3 turns, she's shooting out a fluff volley, which not only reduces mana of the enemy, but also does a nice little bit of damage as well, so it just keeps that damage going. You can see there, it's 150% damage and reduces the mana of the hit enemy by 5%. Look, it didn't even matter if it's only 1%. Any mana reduction is fantastic, especially if the enemy is fully charged. You take that away from them and they're basically useless for another turn. It would be great fun to have 2 of these in a team, and you'd just have everyone firing off that fluff volley, stealing the mana or lowering the mana, and basically rendering the enemy useless. We've seen another hero, Luna, with this skill as well, and there's others with variations such as the minions that take the mana, which we've seen earlier. Let's go and take a look at how cool this is. Even though it's showing the burn damage there, you'll see that that won't actually apply in the next turn. So straight up, a great part of the skill to help you survive longer. There's certain teams where they have huge ailments, and if you can take a few of these gargoyles, it completely renders it useless. And now we'll see here the fantastic skill of zapping their mana and just laughing at them. You can see there the hits do quite a lot of damage as well, and obviously they don't always hit the target that you want with high mana, but it's just fantastic seeing their mana drop down, and you can then dump tiles into the most applicable spot. Pew, pew, pew. Can also see the soft skin, again just fantastic defense to lower that received damage by 90%. Status ailments and mana reductions are also resisted, so it's just great flexibility and allows you to survive a lot longer. And we can see, I realise it wasn't a great enemy team, but basically with no other specials apart from Mina and those follow-up fluff volleys, I've basically wiped out the whole team. Seeing those fluff volleys go on and on just really brings a smile to my face. Mina, the fluffiest fluffer ever. I'm not sure how I'd feel about that if I were the one she were fluffing. First on the podium at number 3 we have Skadi, goddess of Jotunheim, looking like some sort of weird mix of Björn Ironside and his mother Lagertha. She's just got that cool Viking vibe happening, looking dangerous, looking scary, got the face tattoos, and we can tell she never skips a leg day. Even her hair looks dangerous. She'd just be flicking her head round, wiping people out left, right and centre. Absolute monster. Let's take a quick look at the stats. The special is where it all happens. Iceberg Crush, running at average. We're dealing 220% to all enemies. That wasn't the main thing. The damage is increased by 50% per each defeated enemy. I enjoyed that part of it because even once you sort of whittled the team down, you're doing more damage when there's less people. So as opposed to a hero that hits all 5, when there's 3 people dead, you're only hitting 2 people. So you're wasting half your skill. With this one, it actually increased the damage, so it was quite useful. But the star of the show is the stack. So all enemies receive 36 frost damage for each defeated enemy or enemy minion at the end of each turn, and all enemies get minus 6% mana generation per each defeated enemy or enemy minion. I remember when Skadi first came out, at least in the alliance I was in at the time, there wasn't a lot of love for her until I posted a video of her wiping out a Beera team. So basically Beera had gone off a couple of times, had minions everywhere. I used Skadi and I think I put like 8 or 9 stacks on, and the damage per turn was, it's around about 400 or something crazy. I would generally take Skadi with a team of healers, a reviver, and maybe one other damage dealer. At the time, I think I used to have Onyx in my team quite regularly. I'll show you that team soon, but basically you're staying alive, waiting for the minions to get up, hitting with Skadi, and smashing them, basically then just waiting it out until they're all dead. It was also great to have a defense down to help you kill those minions. Costume Kirill came in very, very handy as he's a healer, so he's not doing any damage. There's no risk of killing the minions, but he's dropping the defense down, allowing Skadi to then kill at will. So I'll show you exactly how I used Skadi at the time, and you can see why she can still be very, very useful against certain minion summoners. A lot of the minions in the game have outgrown Skadi and they are too beefy for her to kill, but with the right combination of maybe hitting them first, getting a defense down and then letting Skadi finish them off can still be quite useful. This is the team I quite often use Skadi in. We have Kirill for that defense down and a heal, as I mentioned. We have Onyx to get a dispel and just to give a bit of flexibility around a quick attack. We have Quartz who would give the regen and also an attack boost, and again the flexibility of being able to, and the flexibility of multiple charges. So I could hold him off if I needed to and charge him right up, or I could use him early and get a quick attack boost, which would also help Skadi kill those minions. And of course Albi for the regen, mana and revive. Only 3 stacks applied there, but you can still see the damage it does and that it just eats away turn over turn. We'll fast forward a bit until we get a few more stacks up. And of course I need to mention it can't be cleansed. Up to 9 stacks and around about 400 damage per turn. Nothing spectacular these days, but back before the days of legend troops and costumes, fantastic. Then you just sit back and watch them slowly die. Skadi, keep her away from your little minion or you may end up with frostbite. I wanted to include some heroes in the top that everyone has access to and are maybe a little bit easier to get than all the shiny new heroes. So taking the silver trophy of whateverness is Lord Loki, the trickster god. I'm pretty sure we all know Lord Loki. He looks a bit average, but he's kind of levitating. He's got his little weapon there that he's levitating as well, so that's kind of cool. We'll have a quick look at his stats. The fantastic thing about Lord Loki is that he copies the target's special skill and uses it as if it was the caster's own special skill. If the target does not have a special skill or it can't be copied, the following special skill will be cast: Villain Swing, which deals 275 damage to the target. So a reason that Loki will stay relevant for quite a long time, as long as his stats hold up, and obviously if you've got the costume version, that's even better, is because you can basically copy the skill of any new hero. So regardless of which new awesome hero comes out, you've basically already got that hero in Lord Loki. So you didn't get Sludges? Fine, just use Lord Loki. You didn't get Rustfang? Fine, use Lord Loki. See the pattern? Basically any new hero that comes out, you've already got it. So Lord Loki will be relevant for an awful long time, and he is so fun to use as you can copy any hero on the other team. Gives you great flexibility as long as you don't copy someone that's got mindless attack on, which I have done far too many times to admit. It provides great flexibility by allowing you to copy either a hitter or a healer. So you can basically have 5 heroes in one, copy any hero on the other team, keeping in mind if you do copy an attacking hero, his stats will mean that he doesn't hit quite as hard as the original hero would have. And the most fantastic thing about Lord Loki is because he's running at average speed, you can actually copy a slow hero with those fantastic overpowered slow specials at average speed. Let's take a look at what he can do. And just like that, I have a Sludges. So that's where Lord Loki is fantastic. You can keep up with any of the new heroes to a degree. A couple of things to remember, he doesn't have the same passives. So where Sludges will spawn a big minion for herself when she gets hit, etc., Lord Loki won't do that. He only copies the special skill. And also keep in mind the placement of Lord Loki. As an example, if you're going to copy a skill that applies to the caster and nearby allies, you've got to make sure you don't have him right on the edge, or else you're wasting that on one person. And we'll now see the flexibility he provides, where I copied Sludges earlier in the battle because I needed the dodge and damage and heal. Now at the end of the battle I need to finish him off, so I've copied Lemonwood, so he's a healer and an attacker all in one. It's just absolutely fantastic and so much fun to play around with. Lord Loki. Anything you can do, I can do pretty much just as well. And my number one favourite hero to use is Hunter, Descendant of the Old Ones. There could have been plenty of heroes in this list and plenty at number one. Things like Sludges, Alfreak. There's so many heroes that have been fun to use over time. This may be a little bit biased as I'm using him a lot at the moment. However, I also wanted to pick a hero that may not be as well known. He hasn't been easy to get. I believe the only time he's been available is as a secret hero. I don't believe he's been in any other portals. So not a hero you would see an awful lot of, but has a fantastic skill, which we'll take a look at now. Being a secret hero, he's part of the Investigator family, so there's a little bit of bonus attack and health there. Even just for one hero, you're getting 20%, which is quite good. Passive is that he reduces damage when he has Insanity, so that can help, as once he fires he has Insanity, so it helps keep him alive even longer. But the special skill is where it's all at. We're running at fast speed, merciless execution. It never misses its target. That's fantastic against some of those defensive buffs that are up there that may stop the attacks hitting, and blind. The targets get minus 25 defense for 3 turns, so the defense goes down before you make the hit, deals 530% damage to the target, and if the target is defeated by the attack, then nearby enemies are inflicted with 100 Insanity. Also inflicts 50 Insanity on the caster. So if you're not aware of the Insanity mechanic, it basically confuses the enemy, and for each Insanity it's basically a percentage. So 100 Insanity means there's a 100% chance the enemy will cast its special skill on itself, or if it's a positive effect like a heal, it will cast it on your team instead. So I was wrapped when I got Hunter. I do enjoy the Insanity mechanic, however I don't like the percentage chance of being 20 or 30 or 40. So the fact that this guy is a 100% chance if you make the kill, it just means you know exactly what you're going to get. With my roster, I can generally very easily set up a kill for him, so even though there's a risk of putting the Insanity on himself, which means later on in the battle you may actually hit your own team, the fact that you've got a 100% chance of doing it to the enemy is just fantastic. As I said, it's easy to set up a kill with him, and it means you can target a certain hero. You may not be targeting the one you want to kill. So example is a Dai-Chan tank. You may not be able to kill her, but if you're targeting someone beside her and you can kill that person, it then means that Costume Dai-Chan will cast her heal and minions onto your team. So it's basically giving you an extra member in the team and taking one away from the enemy. Absolutely fantastic. Even when he has Insanity on himself, you can actually still use that to your advantage if you're hitting your own team, and I'll explain why later on. So stick around and let's see just how cool this guy is. And there we see it, an easy kill. Not only does he take out one target, but he basically turns the other two nearby enemies into my own allies. And you'll see here that it even works on the Toons, who resist most of those ailments, but because the Insanity works slightly differently, it gets applied to both of them. And you'll now see that they're basically on my team. And now for the bonus tip. When using Hunter, even when he has the Insanity up himself, like in this example he has a full 100% Insanity, which means he's definitely going to cast on your own team. The thing is, if he doesn't kill someone, so if you know that you're safe to cast his skill without killing someone on your own team, he will then actually cast 50 Insanity on the enemy anyway, because that's what he would usually put on himself. But because it's now reversed, you're not putting any Insanity on yourself, but you're still putting it on the other team. Hunter. I may be insane, but I'll make you more insane. And sometimes, when I'm not insane, I'll still make you insane. That's insane. Thanks for watching this epic journey. I really appreciate your support. I'd love to hear your thoughts on heroes you enjoy using and why, so please drop me a comment. If you enjoy what you're seeing, please gently caress that subscribe button, jump on board the side train, and let's take this thing beyond the horizon before it's not cool anymore.